Time for Read Aloud. It's chapter 6 today. My mother opened the door and Margaret's mother handed me over. "Oh, thank you so much, Susan," my mother said, as if it was a wonderful surprise. And then she closed the door. While I was explaining, she did so many "Clementine, what were you thinkings?" that I finally stopped counting them. And then my dad came in and she told him about it, except she couldn't finish her sentences. All 24, condo association meeting, glued them on, spilled all over, smells like beer. Somehow my dad understood, and then I had to listen to all his "Clementine, what were you thinkings?" too. And besides all that, my mother said when he was done, "Her sneakers are ruined." "Let me have them," my dad said. "Maybe I can get those bottle caps off." "No, Dad," I cried. "I need them for my act. I'm tap dancing at the talent show." Too late. My dad left, but I was in luck. A few minutes later, he came back holding my sneakers with the bottle caps still on. "They wouldn't come off?" my mother asked. "Not in this lifetime," my father answered. "Are you saying?" my mother began. And then they stared at each other, and they both said, "Not me," at the same time. "I took her last month," said my mom. "I won't do it this time," I told them. "I'll be like a normal person." My mother and father just looked at me as if I'd spoken in Martian, which I am going to learn, and then they turned back to each other. "I really think I should stay here," said my dad. "What if the elevator breaks down again and I have to call the repair service? But what if someone needs a drawing really, really fast, like an emergency piece of art?" my mother tried. "No, I'd better stay home." "If you take her, I'll make dinner every night for a week," my father offered. "Well, I'll make dinner every night for 2 weeks," said my mother, "and I'll do the dishes." My parents always try to bribe each other into taking me shopping, which I do not think is funny, but okay, fine. I take a really, really long time at the store. My parents think I have a hard time choosing things, but that's really not it. I can choose things just fine. The problem is, whenever you have to choose something, that means you have to not choose about 100 other things, which is not so easy. Like in the candy store, if you choose peanut butter cups, then you have to not choose red licorice and M&Ms and Starburst and bubble gum and Tootsie Rolls and gummy worms and Pixie Sticks. And no matter what you pick, as soon as you take the first bite, you suddenly know you wanted one of those other ones. Still, this time, I could try today. I promised my parents, I'll be really quick. My parents just made faces that said, "We've heard that joke before." And then my mother sent me to my room to change into dry overalls. When I got back, they were still at it. "I'll make dinner and do the dishes for 3 weeks," said my father. "I'll do it a month," said my mother. I flopped down on the couch to wait. When they got going like this, it could take a while. Finally, my father took all the money out of his wallet and held it to my mother. "If you take her, you can buy a pair of shoes too. My treat." And this is her mom and dad going back and forth about it. Who's going to take her shopping? My mother said, "Well," and I could see she was thinking about it. Then my father said, "Plus, I'll take you out to dinner so you can wear them." My mother reached toward the money and then stopped. "We're not talking pizza or hamburgers, right?" "Absolutely not," promised my father. "We're talking a tablecloth and candles kind of place." "It might even be the Ritz," my mother warned him. "The Ritz is the fanciest restaurant in Boston. It is very expensive, probably because it cost a lot to make all those crackers." "A deal," my dad said. My parents smiled at each other, and then they kissed. And here is a secret thing that I never tell Margaret or Mitchell. I like it when my parents kiss, even in public. On the way to the shoe store, whenever we slowed down a little bit, people on the sidewalk would sniff at me and wrinkle their noses. It's not what you think, my mother said every time. And then she made me walk even faster, which is not easy when you got 24 bottle caps on the soles of your shoes. When we got into the store right away, I saw a great pair of bright green sneakers in the front window. I ran in, climbed up to get them. My mother grabbed me by my overalls and pulled me back. That's the display window. Clementine, we've got to find a salesman. And you will not believe how lucky I was, because right then I found one. He came running up behind me. May I show you something? He asked with a nervous look on his face. I pointed to the green sneakers, and my mother said, size 3.5. Wonderful, said the salesman. That's the lime from our new popsicle line. It also comes in... Nope, my mother tried to stop him. That's fine. Don't tell us about the other colors. Too late. Lemon, orange, coconut, grape, blueberry, mango, and pink grapefruit. Very popular. My mother threw her hands up and then sank into a chair. Bring them all, she said, and bring them in size 4 too, because we're going to be here a while. The salesman went away. He came back with a big stack of boxes. He opened them up and laid out all the pairs in front of me in a big sneaker rainbow. And then he sniffed. He looked at my mother as if he couldn't believe what his nose just told him. It's not what you think. My mother slumped down in her chair and sighed. Oh, heck. Maybe it is what you think. I tried on all the popsicle sneakers. The salesman asked me if I really had to test out each color by running across the store, climbing onto a chair, and jumping off. I guess he was new. Blueberry was the zoomiest, and pink grapefruit was the bounciest. So I put one on each foot, and then I tried them out together. It was perfect and wonderful, too, but the salesman said, I don't think so. And I didn't even care, because right then I saw the most beautiful pair of shoes in the world on a shelf near the display window. Purple with tall, skinny high heels and sparkly green dragonflies at the toes. And I pointed to them. How about? And before I could finish, both the salesman and my mom said, I don't think so, at the same time. Okay, fine. What other kinds of shoes do you have in this store? I can't watch this, said my mother. Just make sure she chooses something sensible. She got up and whispered to the salesman, and then she went over to the grown-up shoes and started shopping. As soon as she was gone, I asked the salesman if he had a tattoo. You can never tell which adults are going to have one. And there she is with all the shoes, and then there's those high heels that with the dragonflies she started looking at. No, said the salesman. Do you? Not yet, I said, pretty soon. Then he left to get some more shoes for me, and you would not believe how many pairs of shoes were in that store. Oh, my feet were exhausted from all the trying on, and my head hurt from all the not choosing I was thinking about. Finally, the salesman held up a pair of striped basketball sneakers. This is it, he said. This is the last shoe I've got. When he was lacing them up for me, I saw something amazing. Hey, did you know that you have a circle right at the top of your head where there's no hair? I asked him. Yes, he said, I am aware of that. Thank you. Did you know you smell like a brewery? Yes, I said, I am aware of that. Thank you. And I'll take the lime popsicle sneakers. The salesman sighed. I know that too, he said. They're already in the bag at the checkout counter. Your mother told me you'd end up picking them. And then I went up to the register where my mother was waiting. I made my mouth into a ruler line because I was so mad at her for knowing what I was going to do before I did it. I was never going to speak to her again. Want to see what I bought? My mother asked, and I kept my mouth a ruler line, but I nodded and opened up her bag. And then I didn't care about being mad. Wow, Wow, I said. Exactly, she said. Wow. We stopped and just stared at those purple wow shoes. The heels looked even taller and skinnier, and the dragonflies sparkled in the sun like emeralds. They were so beautiful that I was suddenly cured of being afraid of pointy things. Not very sensible, I said. No, definitely not very sensible, my mom agreed. In fact, they're probably the least sensible shoes in the whole store. One of the benefits of being a grown-up. Can I try them on? Sure, she said. And then she leaned over and gave me a huge smiling hug, even though I smelled like a brewery. After you've had a bath. And that's the end of that chapter.